All right. Just about a minute. I think that's the load. I'm just gonna shut this down. It's usually pretty good. Get done. Share my screen. Start the broadcast. Optimize for video. Okay. And we'll hang out here for a few seconds. Picture in picture. I'll move it on for now. Give me an option to close this. That would be nice. Nope. All right. Let's go to this one. All right, gentlemen. Okay. So I hope everyone is doing well. So today we're going to do a review session for our homework for section 1.3. I want to say exam 1 becomes available this Sunday. Sunday, right? So for the first 7 days, you can earn up to 100%. You can earn up full credit. 7 days after it's released. That's basically the due date. If you submit it after the due date, the highest you can earn is a 95%. I'll probably update grades after exam 1. Okay. So it's really just homework. It's a homework, quizzes, and exams. There's a homework assignment for each week. There's a quiz for each week. And like I said, we're moving into the first exam this upcoming week. So we're going to take some time today to go through the homework for section 1.3. As always, if you have questions today, feel free to either unmute yourself or submit your question either in the Q&A or in the chat, and we'll make sure to get it addressed. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and hop into, and we don't actually have a lot. We might actually be able to get through all of this. The homework corresponding to section 1.3, there's 21 questions. Let's see, give me a random number between 1 and 21. All right, we'll start with question 9. And also, if you have questions, like specific questions from the homework that you'd like us to work on together, today's a great day. Request those and we can work on them together. Next week, when it comes to the exam, usually during the exam week, I'll take 1 day to kind of review for the exam. You can actually take your exam during class if you want, and you can ask questions about the exam during class if you want. So you can take it before class, and then if you're stuck on anything or anything like that, you can ask during class. So like the first day on Monday, we'll review, and then Wednesday, more than likely of next week, I'll use that as just like in-class office hours. So just check in to get your attendance. Next Wednesday, if you don't have any questions, I'm not going to keep it, but we'll get there when we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Find the domain of the following function. Do I want to take notes here? Okay, I'll just say it. Actually, yeah, I think I'll write it. Where's the pen? All right. So, and actually, let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and start a poll for this one. So poll or quiz, not that one. What do I like to do? It should be this one. Okay, that's fine. Am I not the, what do we call it? Much. Attendance. That's fine. Okay. All right, so there's a poll that's live corresponding to this. So maybe you might want to screenshot it and work it on your own. If you have the answer, feel free to submit it in the poll while I write some notes. And I think for the notes, what I'll do so that you can see it while I work, I'll go like this. So you have the question on the left there while we kind of take some notes. I just wanted to kind of, as a refresher, bring this to your attention. So when it comes to the domain, there are multiple scenarios that we'll come across, but there's two main ones I just want to bring to your attention. Let's go rule. And so, like, for instance, the first one I want you to consider is if we have what's called rational functions. Okay. So when it comes to rational functions, it's basically like a fraction. That's when you have one polynomial divided by another, where the denominator polynomial is not zero, right? Or yeah, essentially that's it. But in general, for a rational function, domain is going to be all reals except any x that makes the denominator zero. All right. So let me see. In general, the domain for a rational function is going to be, I'm going to abbreviate it like this: all reals except any x that makes the denominator zero. Okay. So when it comes to rational functions, we have to throw out any x that makes the denominator zero. Otherwise, the domain is all reals. Okay. And this is my shorthand for all reals. That symbol, sometimes you'll see me write that. That just means all real numbers. Got my beautiful handwriting going today. Okay. So we have rational functions. The other scenario, any takers on the result for this one? Right. So you could be working on it while I maybe not. Okay. Anyway, so then the other scenario I want you to consider, we have rational functions. We also have, I'll say, we'll call it a square root function. Also, sometimes we refer to it as an even root function. Okay. Right. And so in general, and like for rational, that takes on the form of one polynomial divided by another polynomial, where d of x is not equal to zero. Okay. So for square root or an even root, in general, the domain is going to be the non-negative real numbers. In other words, the radicand. Is there a D? It might be a D on the end of that. Radicand, I think it was D. Let me see. Siri, spell radicand.
I found some web results.
Of course.
I can show them if you ask again from your iPhone.
I'm not sure about the spelling. There may or may not be a D on the end of that. But the radicand has to be greater than or equal to zero. So, for instance, if we consider something like the square root function like this guy here is the radicand. The radicand is the part inside the root. So that part has to be greater than or equal to zero, all right? So those are the main two things. Rational functions, we can't divide by zero, so we got to throw any x that makes the denominator zero, we got to throw those out. Whenever we are trying to find a domain of an even root, like square root, fourth root, sixth root, so on and so on, the radicand, which is the inside part, has to be greater than or equal to zero, okay? So we're asked to find the domain of this guy, right? So hopefully you had a chance to look at this. What value of x is going to make the denominator zero? So if x is what? -5, right? If we say x plus 5 equals 0, subtract 5 from both sides. So then we have to throw out x equal to 5. So which one of these showcases x equal to 5 being thrown out? So I'm going to go ahead and submit my result. Okay, and I'm going to close the poll. Okay, I think we're done with this over here. So I'll get rid of that. And I'd like this back. Come on. Cool. Okay, we got some, I keep forgetting that. I can't see it over there, but that's fine. Let's go. We can get rid of that. Okay, so I feel like it's D, right? So if we want to capture an interval notation, let me zoom in some. All real numbers except -5. Basically it would be like this. So remember, the parentheses means we get really close to that number, but we do not include that number. All right. So because the -5s have parentheses on them, we get infinitesimally close to -5 on either side, but we do not include -5. So part D is how we would submit that. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to kind of give you just kind of refresh on that. Let's go to question 21. Okay. So this comes from section 1.3, question 63. Let me see. So students that stuff envelopes for extra money. Their initial cost to obtain the information for the job was $150. Each envelope costs 3 cents, and they get paid 4 cents per envelope stuffed. Let X represent the number of envelopes stuffed. Express the cost as a function of X. Express the revenue as a function of X. And determine analytically the value of X for which the revenue equals the cost. Okay, so we have like revenue and cost functions. So I'm going to take some notes here. Actually, let me see if I can do this without the notes. So the cost function, right? The initial cost was $150, and each envelope costs 3 cents. Okay. So then, how much did they pay? Let's get rid of this. It costs them 3 cents per envelope. So I'm going to say, if this works. Okay, let's go like this. 3 cents. Come on, why are you not working? Yeah, that's working there. Okay, whatever. It's just on the tantrum. Okay, so 3 cents for each envelope. So we're going to capture that by saying 3 cents times X. All right. So if we have one envelope, it's going to cost 3 cents. 2 envelopes is going to cost 6, so on and so on. Plus the $150 for them to get started. Okay. Hopefully this makes sense. And then the money generated per envelope. So if they make one envelope, they earn 4. So similar to how we set up the cost function, they earn 4 cents for each envelope. So we're going to capture that like this. So the revenue equals the cost. So basically we set the first equation equal to the second equation and solve. If we say 4 cents minus 3 cents, it leaves 1 cent. So I'm going to take a few notes here. If we subtract 3.03x from both sides, at some point we're going to have 0.01x equals 150, right? So that's what, like 1 over 100. So then if we divide both sides by 0.01, that's like multiplying both sides by 100. So then x is going to equal, it looks like I'm getting like 15,000. It's the 150 with 2 additional zeros. So what this is saying is that they have to basically process 15,000 envelopes before they break even. And then any envelope that they process over 15,000, then from that point, it's going to be a profit. But anything under 15,000, they're going to be in the red. Okay. Let me check the chat. Q&A looks good. Chat looks good. Okay. All right. So let's try another one. Generate. All right. We can do question 1. Kind of irks me when it's on the extremities, but that's okay. I don't know why it bothers me. I guess it feels like it's not being random when it does that, but maybe it is. Determine whether the relation is a function and give the domain and range. All right. I want to give you maybe a minute. Let me relaunch the poll. Relaunch. So just take a moment and see, can you answer this question correctly, right? You got a 50-50 chance you could guess, right? Let me watch the clock. Let me see. It might copyright me for that. I was gonna play a song, but okay, we got some votes. Okay, I want to jump on the bandwagon. Let me give it a moment. Let me see. So I'm watching the clock. Let's take at least 15 more seconds. There, 5. Well, obviously it's not C, so all right. I'm gonna let that be. Okay. So let's walk through this. All right. Determine whether the relation is a function to give the domain and range. Is the relation a function? All right. So for it to be a function, every x has to correspond to exactly one y. We don't have one x corresponding to more than one y. We don't have a split one, right? So I think we're okay. Yeah. Yeah, we don't like these points aren't stacked on top of each other. So I will go. All right. So I'm thinking it's this. Submit. I'm going to end the poll. Yeah, I feel like this is okay. Check. Okay. So the domain is going to be what our set of input values, 22, 16, and 18. Then our ranges are a set of output values, which is 10 and 17. Interpret that. Generate. Oh. So, let's go to question 8. This was what? Let's go to question 8. All right, so find these function values for this given g of x using radicals as needed. Okay. So I am tempted to use Desmos. Let me see what Desmos can do. Now it might have some more powerful capabilities. I'm just kind of testing it out. So we're going to type this g of x as we see it. We have x over, we got the square root, 9 minus x squared. Okay, that's fine. So then let's see if we evaluate g of 0. Okay, it looks like g of 0 is 0, so I'm just going to go with it. Let's evaluate g of negative 3. Says it is undefined. Let me see, negative 3, since negative 3 is 9, right? So we get a 0 in the denominator. So we're going to say it does not exist for b. Okay. G of 6. That says that one is undefined as well. Let's see when we do 6. Let me see, 9. Okay, so we're going to have 9 minus 36, which is going to give us a negative, what? 27, is that right? It's going to give us a negative result inside the radical. And remember, I think a moment ago we said we can't take the square root of negative numbers, so that's going to be not a real number, right? So I was trying to make a distinction between does not exist versus an imaginary number, right? So trying to take the square root of a negative is not a real number. Okay. Let's see if we can evaluate g of 2/3, 2 over 3. Let me see. Type in the exact answer using radicals. Looks like we don't have that as an option over here, so we might have to write this one out. All right. Okay. So we're going to take some notes on this one. Okay. Oh, come on. This isn't on it. We'll just try to. We're going to copy and delete here. Input settings. I might have to delete some stuff. Probably, I don't know. I don't really save anything on here. Man, but it is lagging today, boy. And then sometimes it's just the technologist that just throws tantrums. Paste. Okay. Today's 9/11. So, undo. So we want to evaluate this guy when x is 2/3, right? So then g of 2/3, we're going to have 9 minus x squared under x, okay? Now x is what? 2/3. 2/3, okay? So that's on bottom, we're going to have 9 minus, what is that, a 4 over 9? It's 2/3, okay. Let me see. That's going to be what, 81/9 minus 4/9. So 77/9. Okay. So we get something like this. So then we can rewrite this guy in the following manner: 2/3. We can rewrite that radical as the square root of 77 divided by the square root of 9, which is going to be what, 3. So then we can, so we say one fraction divided by another, we can do keep, change, flip. So it should become 3 over the square root of 77. Okay. So then these cancel. So the result here, on bottom we would have the square root of 77. Let me see. That's 7 times 11, so I don't think we can break that down any further. And we have a 2 on top. I think on Monday, we did some notes, and at the end, I wasn't able to load the PDF. Eventually, I figured out a workaround to load the PDFs. So I just want you to know that you will get a copy of this at the end. Also, I was able to load the notes from Monday. 2 over the square root of 77. And before we submit it, we can check it here. My device responds. Oh, come on. Okay, I'm gonna let it go. I'm just gonna submit it because it's just gonna happen. We got 2 over the square root of 77. Okay, let me check the chat. You guys are good. We're halfway already. The party's almost over. What a bummer. Okay. Let's do another one. Generate. Okay, that's fine. So with that, we'll just go to the next one. Whenever it gives me repeats, then I just go to the next one. Determine the domain and range of the relation, state whether it is or is not a function. What's the domain? Our set of inputs. 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2. Okay. -3, -2. Come on. Oh my goodness. I feel like I need to restart my device. And it hasn't been lagging. It just started this just now. Like it's been fine. Okay, that looks decent. I think we said it's not functional if we have repeating x's, right? So what's our range? Our output, a set of output values. We just want the distinct output values. So we're going to go -4, -3. Oh, come on. Yeah, I feel like I need to start. I'm pretty sure if I restart it, it'll behave a lot better than 2 and 4, right? We're just listing just the distinct values. Again, we said if we have repeating x's, it's not a function. So is this a function? We're going to say yes, because there are no repeating x's. Okay. Generate. We'll go to question 14. And then, so let me see. This is a random thing. Actually, there's a couple of things here. So one, this Sunday, this is just a random event in Atlanta, but I want to say the second Sunday of every month, and I think that's this upcoming Sunday, is free admission at the High Museum. So just some, free marketing or advertising for them. It's free admission from like noon to boring. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just something free to do in the city. And then the other thing that I want to mention. I may have this guy right here. Here's information on tutoring. So this was basically like an email I got maybe last week. And so I just screenshotted it, and I've been trying to, information on tutoring is there, all right? And I'll include it in the notes for today. I want to add a page. And actually, I think I'm going to move this to the top. Okay, that's fine. All right. All right, okay. Here. This example asks us to use a vertical line test. Okay, so let's do a poll real quick. This is a fairly light one. So I'm going to relaunch the poll. Go. All right, so we'll let the first option be A and the second option be B. If we use the vertical line test, is this graph a function, yay or nay? All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and submit mine. We'll just take a few moments. Hey, Google, play the Jeopardy theme song.
Got it. Playing Jeopardy theme song, 1 hour on YouTube Music.
I'll play a few seconds. Hopefully I don't get copyright for this, because they be acting crazy. Hey, Google, stop. All right, that's enough. Hopefully it stops. It should stop. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. Yeah, I think it's pretty unanimous, right? Passes the vertical line test. So if we check, all right, so that one wasn't too terribly bad. Generate. I think what I did in the past, I looked up some like non-copywritten game show music. That's just more than I would like to do in this moment. Let's go to question 7 though. Need some water right here. Oh, did you guys see the debate? Anybody, any thoughts on the debate? I'm just curious what you guys think about it. Feel free to chat about it if you want. Determine whether the following equation represents y as a function of x. How did we do it before? Okay. I think I will start the poll on this one. I'm curious to see what you guys think about this one. I'm going to relaunch. Okay. So you think it's A, yes, we can write y as a function of x, or B, no? Okay. I've gotten a few people that say, yeah, it's a function. Anybody care to explain why they're saying yes? Anybody explain that one? Or can you give me an example of like, what would make you say no? Like, why are you saying yes in this? I'm just curious. Anybody? Going once? Going twice? Okay. Okay. So I'm going to close the poll. Let me see something. I'm tempted now. It's irking my mind. It's like want to get the music on. And it's not. It's just in the background. It's not even pushed into our theory because it's one y value. Not necessarily that. It's more so because the highest power on the y value is an odd number. If it were an even number, like if that were y squared, when we went to y to any even power, if the highest power of y is even, when we go to solve for y and we have to do an even root, it will cause a plus or minus. And so then that plus or minus would force it to not be a function, right? So it's mainly because the highest power on y is odd. That it's not obvious, right? Okay, so does this represent? It should be yes. Okay, for that reason. If we were to solve for y, we could subtract x to the 5 on both sides, and then we take the 7th root. When we're taking an odd root, we don't use the plus or minus, right? So it's really just because of the highest power on y. Let's see here. No copyright game show music. Not liking these options. I had something before. I don't think it yeah, it didn't get the whole thing. That's what happened. Game show music. Oh, oh, come on. Okay, I got game show at least. All right, we might use this out. We'll try it out with the next question. Okay, what's the time? We got just shy of 15 minutes. Right. All right. I think we did 14. If we have, we'll hop around. So let's see, 14. So we'll do 15. So this question comes from section 1.3. It's question 41, vertical line test. Real quick. I think you guys can look at this and get it relaunch. Okay. Let me, I'm going to put this over here just to make it a little bit more smooth. Right? I think that's pretty unanimous. I'm going to go with this. I'll submit and in the poll, right? So this one, zoom out. Is it a function? We're going to say no because it fails the vertical line test, right? Okay. Generate. Did we just do 15? Let me do this again. We'll go to question 2. Oh, homecoming is going to be coming up soon. Question 2. Is number 2. We'll go to question 3. Determine whether the following equation defines y as a function of x. Okay, let me relaunch the poll, and we're going to we're going to take at least a minute, or sometime. So the poll is active. We're going to try out this first song. It's 1 minute and 11. Nope. It's 1 minute and 11 seconds. So we'll try to let it run out. I'm not going to let this play out. Uh-oh, we got some contestants. What do you think? All right, that's enough. I'm going to end the poll. I couldn't let them run the whole time. It was so silly. Okay, right? Okay, so I think we made it 1. I think it should be a yes, right? Because if we were to solve for y, notice that the highest power on y is an odd number. This is basically going to be a line with a negative slope. So a line with a negative slope is going to pass the vertical line test. Okay, so that was interesting. And see, I chose this music because Jeopardy it might hit me with the copyright on YouTube. So I was like, okay, let me try to get something that has no copyright. I think we say question 6, right? If that's 3, 4, 5, 6 is this one. Come on, you can do it. The music is fun, right? It's just something different, just to pump some energy in. Okay, right at a little over 10 minutes remaining. Determine whether the following. Okay, yeah, this is a good one. can we define y as a function of x? Now, we've done several of these, so hopefully it should be quick. Let's go to the next song. The poll is active. Just take a moment. We're not going to do a full minute, but we're going to take a moment. What do you think? Is it A? Is it B? What do you think? Let me see your answer. Put it in the Zoom chat. Let's go. You got it. That's real smart like that. Let's go. Okay, that's enough. Oh, I think we've baited somebody. Let's see. Okay, so does the equation define y as a function of x, right? If we were to solve for y, right, we can subtract x squared on both sides, and then to get rid of that squared, we have to take what? The square root, and we just said a moment ago, if we take an even root, like square root, we have to do plus or minus. That plus or minus causes it to not be a function, right? So does the equation define y as a function of x? We're going to say no. All right, so that was cool. Music just is so silly. Anyway, it just makes it, because the mathematics is so like dry, right? You know, and it's not really exciting. To me, math gets exciting when you start to apply it and you use it to like create and build and solve problems in your actual, like where it's relevant to you. Like if you're doing budgeting, or if you're like building something for your community or your house, or you're trying to make a plan for like gardening. These are the ways that I actually use it. So I remember one time I was just kind of playing around. I'll use it in my gaming. I use it like one time I was playing around doing some origami, and I had this octagonal shape that I could make, but I needed it to, instead of being an octagon, I needed it to be a hexagon, and I needed to fit a certain number of dimensions. So I did some measurements, I did a calculation, and then applied. I was like, okay, instead of doing the angle at this, if I make the angle a little bit more, closer to this, it should fit. And so I made that adjustment, and sure enough, it worked, right? And so, so it took me a while to realize the purpose of mathematics, but essentially math is a tool that you use to be successful at whatever it is you want to do. It's just depending on, your creativity and your ability to apply the concepts, right? But if you don't know it, there are enough people that do know it, and so you'll honestly be fine without it. But if you want to have an edge over the average person, that's where this stuff comes in handy, especially like if you're going for a job. If I'm hiring people and I have several candidates and they're all kind of even, but then some candidates, have a command of mathematics over the others, they're going to have an edge, and I'm going to prefer. I'd rather have somebody that has some sense of numbers on my crew than somebody that just, because you kind of need that. You need somebody to kind of look out for it like that. Okay. So anyway, answer the following questions about the following function. Okay, is the point 2,5 on the graph? Okay, we're gonna do our poll relaunch for this first one and go. Just take a moment. I'll watch the clock. Okay, we got a timer up there, so we'll take like 30 seconds. I'm gonna go to the next song. I'm watching the clock, so we got like 15 more seconds. Is this on the graph? Let me see. Okay. All right. 2, 1. All right. So I am going to submit this result, and I'm going to close the poll. I only got 2 people. I can't. I am able to see who does what here. So I just want to be aware of that, and it might come into play at some point, right? So I'm trying to breathe some life into it on some level. Okay, so I went on to close the poll. I went with yes here because, like, for instance, when x is 2, 2 squared is 4, times 2 is going to give us 8, minus 2 is 6, minus 1 is 5. So when x is 2, the output is 5, so we're going to say yes. Okay, let's try the next one. If x is -2, then what's the output? All right. Okay, so that's going to be actually Where's the chat? We're short on time. Let me just wrap this one up because we are short on time. That's just about it. So let me see. -2 squared is going to be a +4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10, minus 1 is 9. So I'm going to go with 9 there. Okay, so that one involved keeping track of the signs properly. If y is -1, then what's x? It looks like we might have to do some factoring. Let me take some notes here. I'm going to just type it in the box here. So if y equals -1 and we add 1 to both sides, then it looks like we have 2x squared minus x equals 0, right? So then we can factor out x. We're going to be left with 2x minus 1, right? Okay, so if we factor out x, we're going to have x times 2x minus 1 equals 0. Okay, again, I'm just taking my notes here. So then from here, we get that x equals 0 or x equals a half. Zero, type an ordered pair. So we said 0 or a half. So let me see, 0, comma, -1. And the other one was a half, comma, -1. Let's make sure these work. So when x is 0, we get -1. When x is a half squared is a quarter. A quarter of 2 is a half. A half minus a half is 0. 0 minus 1 is indeed -1. Okay. So we check that these two ordered pairs work. Oh, boo. Ordered pair, parentheses, we got all that. What, did we get the answer wrong? Is it a -1/2? Type an ordered pair using integers or fractions. Let me check it again. That's a quarter. That's a half. A half minus a half is 0. I don't understand. Simple typing. Is it supposed to just be one? List a point? Okay, maybe it's because we put 2 points. So let's remove 1. Oh, I'm working C. Oh, we're still on B. Okay. What point is on the graph? Okay. So we've answered C. So we get one more shot at this before it marks us wrong. List a point on the graph. Okay. So then that point is going to be -2, 9. I didn't realize we were still on B. -2, 9. Okay. So we said 0 and a half. Use commas to separate answers. Type in x equals, we said 0 or a half. We were answering C, and the question was still on B. List of points on the graph. Okay, so 0, -1. Do we need to separate with a comma? Okay. Ordered pair. 0, -1, and 1/2, -1. Okay. All right. So the domain of f, right? This graph is going to be a quadratic. It's going to be a U-shaped curve that opens upward, and all we did was move it down by 1. It might be stretched a little bit, but the domain for this guy is going to be all reals. Okay. Negative infinity. I'm just trying to wrap up because we're out of time. The intercepts. So x-intercept, we would set y to 0 and solve. Let me take some notes here. Okay, so we want to see, can we factor this guy into this form? If we have, the AC method of factoring. I'm like trying to rush because we are kind of out of time. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of guess and check. I think it might be a 1. Let me see if this works. I'm just doing guess and check right now just because we're out of time. Outer would be -2 plus 1 would be -x. I think this looks good. So the x-intercepts, if we solve this guy, we would get 1 and a negative 1/2. 1 and negative 1/2. Just trying to wrap up to get you guys out of here. I didn't realize this was going to eat up that much time. The y-intercept is a lot easier oftentimes. We let x be 0, and you can quickly see if we let x be 0, we'll get a result of negative 1. Okay, cool. All right. Are there any burning questions? Let me check the chat. Interesting. There are some rough spots because of the y line. Are there any questions before we go separate ways, gentlemen? Going once, going twice. Let me make a copy of our notes that we took today available. Let me see. Yeah, let me make a copy of this available for you all. I'll send it. I'll send it in just a moment. If there aren't any burning questions, let me see. So exam 1 should become available this Sunday, right? Sunday morning, like at 11:11. And you can earn up to 100% for the first 7 days. After the due date, which is approximately 7 days later, you can earn, there's a 5% late penalty, so the highest you can earn at that point is 95%. Next week, we'll probably take Monday to review for the exam, similar to like today. And then on Wednesday, I probably just use that as like in-class office hours, right? You can take your exam during class if you like. My recommendation is try to take it early. If you have questions, write them down, and we can work on it in class together. If there aren't any other burning questions, we're going to go ahead and end the session here. Have a great weekend, gentlemen, and we'll meet back on Monday, same time, same place. Take care. Peace.
Professor, see, I have a question.
Yes.
So I noticed like the homework for 9/9 was due at like 9 a.m. Can you like push the time to like 11:09 p.m.?
For what section?
Huh?
So all the assignments have an automatic extension built into them. Are you working on Pearson, right?
Yeah, but didn't it take like points off?
It does take 5% off. So the highest you can earn is 95%. But for a homework assignment at this stage, that's nominal. It's not gonna hurt you. If you just submit it and maximize your score, you'll be fine.
Okay.
I also had a question.
Yes.
So for my week 2, like quiz, I had like one of the questions I had like answered like the question, but I think I restated it, but I got it right. But like in the system, it just marked it wrong. So I didn't know if like if you could go back in and like look at it, or if I had to like talk to my lab professor about that, or what.
Wait. Hopefully, you guys are not confusing the lab with Pearson.
No. It's on Pearson.
I think the earlier gentleman, because he said 9 something, and I was like, I think that might be the lab. The lab is different than my math lab, and I don't know if he's still here or not. Because that's why I asked him. I was like, "What section?" Because he said 9 something, and I was like, "I think that's the lab. That's not my math lab, right?" Which I know it sounds a little confusing.
Okay. Yeah, so it's on my lab math. Is that not underneath underneath you?
What's your last name?
Smith.
Let's go. Let me see. I'm gonna go to the grade book. A student.
Oh wait, I can retake my quizzes.
Yeah, unlimited.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I'll just retake it and then just get a better score. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's fine too.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, let me check the chat one more time. Okay. All right, gentlemen. Any other burning questions going once, going twice? All right, gentlemen. Have a great weekend, and we'll meet back next week, same time, same place. Take care.